So everyone knows the phrase, the land of the free and the home of the brave. But what does that really mean for today's veterans, who encompass the meaning of the home of the brave? Today, there is an entire process for joining the military, and it all leads up to the final stage of when veterans come home and to begin receiving these benefits that our country raves about for our veterans. The first process, which I'll be talking about today, is the enlistment process, the draft process, and it can also be a court process for young teenagers who may have gotten into trouble and can often choose between jail or the military. So this is a quote from a veteran. I told them, "Don't bullshit me," and well, they still did. He was talking about his enlistment process. They told him all the great parts about being in the military, getting to travel the world, free education, really building you up as a man. And he didn't get that. So his process was similar to what most people go through today, enlistment. You go to the recruitment office, you may have been recruited right out of high school, you may have gone to college first in order to become an officer. The other process, which has been more for Vietnam veterans as we have last seen it, is the draft. And the draft gives you no option. There are exemptions to the draft, such as education, conscientious objection, and more. However, those changes today have now been altered so that the draft no longer encompasses everyone's needs. Conscientious objection now takes up to several months in which men can still object to the draft, but they have to wait through all those months in order to finally get their orders for a non-combat position or to be allowed to leave the military. This allows them to go to boot camp, possibly even be shipped overseas before they can get anything out of it. Also, education benefits today have been changed so that now you are no longer allowed to finish college before being allowed into the draft. Instead, you are allowed to finish one semester. Unless you are a senior, you can finish the final year. So they have this process called soldierization. They teach you how to be a soldier, and what they need is a civilianization training at the end. This was from another veteran about when he came back from the military. He felt that boot camp and the process of going overseas and being there in combat really messed him up as a civilian when he came back. He felt like a soldier, and that was what he was trained to do, so he was following orders. However, today, when soldiers return from war, 22 suicides occur each day among the veteran population. And our benefits aren't meant to support all of the things that they have to deal with upon coming back. So for this specific veteran, Eric, he felt that what he really needed was more veteran-on-veteran peace talks. But the VA cannot encourage peace work or advocacy to their patients because the VA is meant to represent the military and pro-war ideas. So Eric believes that if veterans like him, who he is now involved with a group called Veterans for Peace, were actually pushed to join in organizations like this, wars would never continue the cycle. So another veteran also brought this up. He said that if his father had came back from World War II and spoke to him about the process and what he truly witnessed over there, Vietnam would have never happened. And so today, he works to talk to his kids, to talk about the true horrors of war, so that they will never have to witness that. And the VA healthcare system has been a war that I don't want to fight anymore. So what exactly does this mean? Today, we have better understanding of what exactly PTSD is. However, for many veterans and the aging population of veterans who fought for World War II, Korea, and Vietnam, this is no longer true. Today, we are focused on the veterans of Iraq, Afghanistan, Persian Gulf. However, these veterans need the severe care that they need from returning from the war immediately. Veterans from wars such as Vietnam, Korea, World War II are now part of an aging population who go to the VA in order to receive basic health care that you receive at a hospital. So how does this need to change in our system? Our system needs to change the way it goes about giving care to veterans by allowing veterans to receive care at hospitals with price reductions or entire waivers based on what their disability, age, and other requirements are at the VA. Today, Secretary McDonald has started to give waivers for this so that veterans can go to other hospitals and receive care as anyone under a normal health care would. However, this still leaves veterans of wars such as Iraq, Afghanistan, and Persian Gulf who need care immediately for PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, and other trauma that they experienced overseas or even at home, and they need help now from the VA. Another problem dealing with the aging veteran population is Agent Orange, and this was also a problem during Persian Gulf. So today, our benefit system has to focus so much on diseases that were caused by the aging population, basic medical cares, as well as Agent Orange, which was caused by regular combat that the aging population is now facing. However, the PTSD counseling is not available enough for the veterans who need it now. So the VA is working to hire more counselors and nurses in order to combat those long wait lines that we hear so much about in the media today. However, veterans who actually go to the VA don't receive the care that they truly need because many of them say that it is a pharmaceutical industry and the counseling that they want is not available for them there. And for many of these veterans, the VA isn't even a possibility because for many of those who were drafted during Vietnam and were conscientious objectors or were let out there due to the major heroin problem over there, the VA can no longer accept anyone unless they were discharged honorably. So in order to get care, you have to be discharged honorably. You have to have the requirements met by the VA, such as disability requirements, and once you get there, the care that you receive is not what the veterans want. So today, we need to work more on truly treating these veterans and what exactly they need. They need veteran-on-veteran counseling, support groups, and they need peace advocacy to truly forgive themselves for what they believe was their fault. So I'll leave you with this. Try to think of a kid close to you. Imagine a student, maybe a niece, nephew, son, daughter, whoever it is, and picture them at the age of 18 filling out their FAFSA forms and signing up for the draft. This is a requirement now in order to receive a federal job, federal college aid, or even to participate in a federal work-study program. If it were like Vietnam again, these kids would be sent off only to return with PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, even lost limbs or lives. And this is what we have to face with our current system today. So we have to work to promote the care that they need and push the government to truly care for everyone, despite discharge status and despite disability. Thank you.
All right. Do you have questions?
Yes, I do. Great presentation. And you gave me a lot of information. I'm still kind of digesting, but one thing that really resounded with me was the quote that you showed, and you talked about the idea of soldierization without civilization at the end, and that really kind of painted a clear picture for me. So, you know, in addition to counseling, in addition to medical treatment, what other supports do you think that soldiers need to have in place to go through this process of civilization, or do you think that he was referring to counseling and healthcare only?
So a lot of the veterans I've talked to really they focus on the counseling aspect. And the problem with today is when you leave the military, they make you sign a form claiming, so you have to claim any PTSD that you may have. Mm-hmm. But if you do, you're forced to stay on base, which prevents them from going home to their family. So he was saying that the whole process of leaving the military has to change in order for that civilianization process to happen. Because he believes that no matter what you do in the military, if you are shipped into a combat zone, you're going to come out of it with PTSD, no matter what. And so this specific veteran said that veteran-on-veteran counseling was the most important. And so not only do the education benefits need to grow for veterans when they come out of the military, but they should really be encouraged to work towards a career that will continue their military service in that way, but really be helping back at home.
So career counseling, and I would assume family counseling? Has that come up in your research at all?
So that's another thing that the VA doesn't offer.
Okay.
They don't offer any counseling for anyone other than the veteran themselves. So there are other organizations, there's one at Mass General that you can be in that does offer family counseling, but that's definitely like another thing that veterans have brought up, because a lot of times the family will actually like drive them away because they're acting in ways that the family isn't used to and the family doesn't know how to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that will create a separation in the family, and a lot of times that leads to worse problems. So even just counseling the family as well and just teaching them how to deal with it and how to respond to certain things that may happen at home is a big part of veteran treatment.
And do you think, in terms of this, the policy of waivers, so that soldiers that are returning can get better health care, do you think that that regular hospitals are equipped to help soldiers deal with the war-specific issues that they're handling, or do you think it would be better to make the VA system stronger to be able to handle these soldiers?
So a lot of what the waivers are for that Secretary McDonald is now pushing for are for the aging population, so it's just basic healthcare needs that because a lot of the ones from Vietnam, Korea, World War II, they're all elderly people now.
Mm-hmm.
And so they really just have basic elderly healthcare needs that any hospital can offer. And also this will work really well for veterans who don't live near a VA. So most hospitals are actually better equipped than veteran hospitals because they have more staff, you don't have to wait as long, and they have the same equipment and treatment skills. The only thing that may be different at the VA is the actual access to other veterans. So that's more why they want to stunt the aging population with these waivers